Alright guys, this is toughest matchups for every UFC champ. Before I get started, let me just clear some up. This doesn't mean I think they'll beat them. I just think these are the toughest fights in the division. Alright. Some of them I do think will win, but not all. Flyweight division. Kai France, Steve Erceg, Davison Figueiredo. I'll start off with Figgy. I know he's not in the division no more. I did think I think I saw him talking about going back down. But this division is dead. So I was like, I'll add Figgy. But I mean, he already beat Pantoja quite a while ago, so it'll be a different fight now. But I still think Figgy's just a bad matchup for Pantoja. I think anybody with power is. Steve Erceg. Again, I know Pantoja beat him, but I thought Erceg won that fight. Erceg's he's got a good ground game, great boxing, he's rangy. It's not the best matchup for Pantoja. It's just he lacks power. That's his only problem. But Kai France, I think that's a real bad matchup for Pantoja. Dangerous power, great takedown defense. Good boxing. He's good all around. I think he could definitely beat Pantoja. If they fought now, I don't think he would win, but he's definitely a tough fight for Pantoja. Right, bantamweight. Now this division, I don't think there's many tough fights for Merab in this division, to be honest with you. He's already beaten two of these, but Umar, to be fair, he broke his hand in the first round. But I still think Umar's a very tough matchup for him. I mean, it was a very close fight. Stylistically, that's not a good matchup for Merab, but he won. Sean O'Malley. I think Sean O'Malley's a very tough fight for any wrestler. Great knees. He's long, he's rangy. Phenomenal striker. Yeah, I know. Like I said, I know Merab beat him, but I honestly, I thought you could have given that fight to Sean O'Malley. It was a very close fight. I thought it could have went either way, but I still think Sean could have took it on damage. But in a rematch, man, I don't know who would win that. It's a very tough fight for Merab. Last one, Figgy. I know I had Figgy on the flyweight, but he's the bantamweight now. So that's another dangerous matchup for Merab. Only Figgy's problem is probably his cardio. He didn't look like he had the greatest cardio in his last fight, but he's got great ground game, great striking, dangerous power. I think the most dangerous most dangerous matchup for Merab stylistically is someone with dangerous power. He doesn't really seem to have the best chin. He gets rocked a lot, always in the early rounds. I think if you get someone who's good at finishing the fight early on, who's got good takedown defense, great power, I think that's the best way to take out Merab. Figgy could probably maybe get that done. I don't think he'd win just because his cardio's shit, but I think these are the three toughest matchups for Merab. Don't think there's anybody else in the division who really puts up a tough fight for Merab. Featherweight. I'll start with Volk. Now I know he's already knocked out Volk, but I still think Volk is a tough matchup for Ilya. I think Volk's a bad matchup for anybody in the division, but I think if Volk, he's had a long time off. I think if the rematch, if he has a good camp, if he sticks to his game plan, I think he could beat Ilya. I mean, I'd probably pick Ilya in that fight, but I think that's still a very tough matchup for Ilya. A tougher matchup than Max Holloway, in my opinion. Well, he's already beat both, but you know what I mean. Diego Lopez. I think Diego Lopez, he's a tough matchup because he's got what Max and Volk don't have. He's got power, and that'll be the equalizer in this fight. I think in the featherweight division, he's got the best chance of beating Ilya. He's got great boxing, great ground game, and like I said, that power would be the equalizer. I was about to put Mosvar on here, but I really don't think Mosvar would do much to Ilya. He's mainly a wrestler. And I think Ilya's got really good wrestling, and Mosvar's striking isn't the best. Ilya's got phenomenal striking, phenomenal power. Yeah, I don't think Mosvar would do well against Ilya. But and then I know Islam isn't in the featherweight division, but for Ilya at lightweight, I think that'd be a very tough matchup. One of the toughest fights you can make for Ilya, right? Probably the toughest fight you can make for Ilya right now, if he goes for double champ status. But although I do think Ilya would beat him, I think Ilya is more so a bad matchup for Islam than Islam is for Ilya. And I'll talk about that right now. I think Ilya could maybe knock out Islam. I think Islam, he's very good, but he hasn't fought the best wrestlers. I mean, he did fight Arman, but that was a long time ago. And even Volk was stuffing a lot of his takedowns. And Volk's, he's a good wrestler, but he's not as good as any of these other fighters. But I think Ilya could knock out Islam. Yeah, he said he wants to submit him. He said he wants to be the first to submit him, but I don't think that would never happen in a million years. But I think he would knock him out. Arman Sarukian, another really tough matchup. Islam already did beat him. That was a long time ago, and Arman came in on short notice. I think Arman could beat Islam. I think this is a 50-50 fight. Arman's very good on the ground, very good wrestling. He's got great striking. People underestimate Arman's striking. I think this is a very even matchup. Charles Oliveira, I know he battered Charles. He humiliated Charles in that fight, dropped him and then submitted him, which is crazy. Nobody's done that to Charles in this division. But I still think that's a tough matchup for Islam. I don't think there's many other fighters in the division who can put up a good fight other than Arman and Oliveira and Ilya if he goes up. But yeah, I think they're the three toughest fights for Islam right now. Welterweight. Right, I'll start with Jeff Neal. I think Jeff Neal already beat him as well. I mean, that was a long time ago, yeah. But regardless of that, Jeff Neal's stylistically a bad matchup. Phenomenal power, great takedown defense, great boxing, good kicks. He's very good. Jeff Neal doesn't have the greatest cardio, I'll admit that. But I think his takedown defense and his power could definitely get that done. Joaquin Buckley. Now, I do think Joaquin beats him. I don't think Jeff Neal or Shavkat would beat Bilal right now, but I think Joaquin. I think he could knock out Bilal. Joaquin's a tough guy. He's got great wrestling. He's got great striking, crazy power, and his strength, I think, would be the equalizer in this fight. You ain't going to bully Joaquin like he did with Leon. He's too big for that. He's too strong. I think Joaquin could definitely get the KO in that fight. I think it's probably the toughest fight in the division. Shavkat, another great fighter, great wrestling, phenomenal striking. I do think his grappling, his jiu-jitsu is not the greatest. We saw that in his last fight. Ian almost got that submission. His cardio lacks. And I think that's where Bilal would get the win. I think Shavkat's cardio isn't the best, and Bilal's a very heavy cardio fighter, heavy pressure. I think that's a tough matchup for Bilal, but I do think Bilal would beat him. They're probably the toughest matchups for Bilal. Middleweight, I've got Caio Borralho, great fighter. I mean, one of the most well-rounded fighters in the division. Phenomenal ground game, good stand-up, good grappling, wrestling. I don't think he'd beat Dricus, but that's a tough matchup for Dricus. Hamzat's a tough matchup for anybody. Again, I don't think he'd beat Dricus, but Hamzat's wrestling is just that good that it instantly makes him one of his toughest opponents. Not much else to say about that one. His wrestling it's all he's got, but he's probably the best at it in the UFC. Sean Strickland. We saw in the last fight that Sean's a tough matchup for Dricus. Sean's got great cardio. He's got a I was gonna say he's got a good chin. He's got a decent chin. He's got great takedown defense. He's a pressure fighter. I do think Dricus will beat him in the rematch, but that's a really tough fight for him. We saw in that. I thought Sean won the other fight. to be honest with you. It was very close, so another 50-50 fight. But yeah, Sean's a tough fight for Dricus. All three of these are. Light heavyweight. Right, let's start from Magomed Ankalaev. I mean, we know this is his toughest fight in the division. He's got great striking. People underestimate striking. He's got very good striking. Not better than Pereira's. If they stand up, Ankalaev will get knocked out. But I mean, he's got a puncher's chance, I guess. But his wrestling is the main evener. You know, his wrestling is what's going to get him done. What if he wins? He'll win by wrestling, I reckon. I don't think he'll win by standing with Pereira. Again, another good grappler. Jan Blachowicz, he's a great striker as well. Great leg kicks, great power, great grappling. I think grapplers / wrestlers are the toughest fights for Pereira. He obviously lacks in that area, but he's definitely improved. You know, when was his last fight against Jan? 2 years ago, I think. No, a year and a half ago, something. Anyways, he'll improve massively in that time. People look at that fight and be like, oh, he's struggled there. That was almost 2 years ago, man. He's going to have improved. And Pereira's the type of guy, in my opinion, that he improves so quick. He's a natural fighter, you know. I still think he beats both Magomed Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz. I've also got Nikita Krylov. Again, another phenomenal grappler. A good striker as well, I guess. But his grappling is the main reason why I chose him. Yeah, I think he could probably submit Pereira. I think all three of these could submit him. Maybe it's Ankalaev. Ankalaev's not a submission guy, but Jan and Nikita Krylov probably the best chances of submitting him. Ankalaev would probably just smother him. Maybe he's get a TKO or decision win. But yeah, they're probably his toughest fights in the division. I do think he probably beats all three of them. His striking is just that good, and he must have worked on his takedown defense. We haven't really seen much in the takedown area lately, but I think in his next fight we'll see his takedown defense and his wrestling grappling improved a lot. Heavyweight, it's Tom Aspinall. You know, there's no other fight to make in this division, and there's no other tough fights, to be honest with you. I was thinking about putting Sergey or Volkov, but I just think he smothers both of them with his wrestling. Yeah, Tom Aspinall. I mean, Tom Aspinall knocks John Jones out. Let's be real. Tom Aspinall, John Jones ain't as good as he used to be. He's old. You know, he's fat. He's slow. He looked so slow in his last fight. I think Tom Aspinall beats him, man. Knocks him out. I mean, you never know. John Jones could go out there and, you know, we haven't seen Tom outside of the first round. Well, we saw him in the second round once, but that's about it. We don't know what he'd be like in the third, fourth rounds, fifth rounds. He might not have a gas tank, but I think Tom's the type of guy to still work on his cardio. I think he's got. I know we haven't seen it yet, but I don't think he's the type of guy to gas out. That's what I'm saying. I think Tom knocks him out, yeah. But another tough fight for John. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, leave some comments below. Tell me what you think. You know, if you want to argue, I'm okay with that. I'm open to any opinion. Yeah. Hope you enjoyed.